everyone. We are live here on Facebook. How's everyone doing today?
We hope you're doing fantastic. Jen and I are doing fantastic. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. So we decided to do a StreamYard just to give you some content and tell you what was on our mind.
Yes, and we just finished recording, I guess you could say, broadcasting our podcast. And so if you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's Elite Expert Insider Podcast. You can download it from iTunes or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Or even Alexa, you can tell her to play the Elite Expert Insider Podcast from TuneIn, and she'll play that for you.
And what's really cool is I can do it from inside my Tesla. I love that I could just say, Tesla, play the Elite Expert Insider Podcast, and it just pops up. I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
I love it. That's so awesome.
Man, so today, we talked a lot about on the podcast we just did, marketing, business, and of course, Jen's and my business is Elite Online Publishing, where we make authors #1 bestsellers, where we've gotten very, very good at it, that we even guarantee you'll be a bestseller when you work with us. So we wanted to talk about marketing your book, which also includes marketing your business and who you are and why that's important. We get questions all the time. All right, well, how should I market my book? A lot of times from authors who have not published with us, but then authors who are coming to us, they ask us, well, what do you do to market my book? So we want to talk about some of the benefits of that and what you get. So a lot of times, they'll say, well, what's the ROI on a book? And we say, well, one of them is in the marketing process, you're going to get media attention. So there's a great story about one of our authors, Marilyn Barber. Jen, remember that great story about her?
Yeah. So Marilyn Barber, she came to us and she was a business consultant for how you dress. Okay. So she had written this book called Dress Like You Mean Business, and we had published it and made her a #1 bestseller. And she was going on different websites and different Facebook pages and commenting on, I think it was probably 4 years ago during the election, and she was commenting on what the people were wearing. And so what was really cool is she got contacted by ABC, and they asked her to come on and do a segment about dressing for business for running for candidacy, right? So it was really, really cool because she got contacted just because she had a book. They had ordered the book, they had read the book, and they had her in to do this segment. Now, you would think that was amazing and that she would get a lot of exposure from that, but even goes better than that. They asked her to come back and do a weekly segment, and they named the segment the same name as her book, Dress Like You Mean Business. And so that immediate exposure really propelled her forward to get more clients, more consulting gigs, and to even go on to do more bigger things.
Yeah, and what's really cool, so I think back when I go back to that story, I remember she had commented on one of the news reporters' post who was covering the election, and she made a comment about what they were wearing and how she thought it affected, their persona at the election. And, a bunch of people had commented on the post, but she was the only one who had a book. And so the reporter noticed that she was an author, thought that was cool. Hey, you have enough credibility that you can come on our show and comment about that. And trust me, I know about that. I own 2 TV stations, and we were all news at one time. So we were looking for people when we had our station to be commentators and to make comments and talk about things that they were experts on our different news programs. So if she didn't have that book, she would have never, ever been asked to come on the TV show to be an expert and gotten a whole segment from that. So those are the kind of doors that open up when you do have a book that you don't expect if you didn't have a book. I mean, she could have just had her business and they'd be like, oh, well, you're a business owner. That's nice. But because she was an author, and not just an author, she was a #1 best-selling author, really made the difference to put her over the edge to be asked on the show. And speaking of becoming #1, people ask us also, is it really important to be #1? I mean, does it really matter? I mean, in this world, I could still have a book. Do I have to be #1? And, great story. You think about the Olympics, the gold medalist gets all the endorsements, gets all the money, gets his picture on the cereal box. The silver medalist doesn't really get that many accolades. The third place, what do they get? They get a bronze medal. That's it for all their work. And the fourth place, they get nothing, right? So think about that. And I share this story. When I was in high school, I was convinced that I should run for the local pageant here, Miss Farmington, and I didn't want to do it. And then I got convinced to do it. And I won, to my amazing shock, and had no idea that it went on to the Miss Michigan, to the Miss America pageant. Had no idea when I won that that's what I was signing up for. So I went there, and I just was like a deer in headlights. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have any coaching, didn't have a mentor, and I did terrible. I didn't make the top 10. There were 50 girls up there. I was probably number 49, right, of all the things that we did. So then I decided, I was pretty competitive. I thought, I can do so much better. I was embarrassed of how I did. So I went back and I studied and I went as a dancer. The first time as a jazz dancer, I went back and studied classical ballet. I went to the best places in New York and spent summers there. And I just prayed if I did my best that I would win. I just knew I had done all my work. I had done all my research myself. And I just knew if I did that, then I would win. So I ended up third runner-up. Did I get really any prizes? Not really. Did anyone care that I was third runner-up? No, all the attention went to the winner of the whole thing. So the next time I decided to go one last time, and this time I went as a singer, but this time I got coaching. I went with experts that knew what they were doing, that could advise me on what I was doing. And that's kind of what Jen and I do for our authors is we are the experts. We don't just advise you, we actually do it for you. But when I was running in pageants, I actually had to do it myself. So I went again and I was first runner-up. And I thought, man, I prayed that I would become Miss Michigan and I was first runner-up. But wouldn't you know it, the girl who won became Miss America. And then I moved up and became Miss Michigan. And when I became Miss Michigan, I got all the prizes that she hadn't taken. I got the title, which I still have for the rest of my life. And to this day, when people say, you were Miss Michigan, oh my gosh, they're so impressed with that. And it just surprises me that they are. But if I was first runner-up, they'd be like, oh, that's cool. Like you're first runner-up. Oh, you made top 10. Like not many people would brag about that they made top 10, but being Miss Michigan is really cool. Just like if you're number one bestseller, that has so much more weight to it and means so much more versus just being first runner up. Or think about the first time I went to the pageant and I didn't do anything. So if your book comes out and it doesn't make a hot new release list, it doesn't make the bestseller list, not even in any categories. Ours are usually multiple categories that you're getting in bestseller. That holds weight. That says people think enough of you about your book that you have a lot of credibility in the marketplace versus your book came out, but no one cared, right? So think about that. And what we do for our authors is we make them number one bestsellers. We guarantee they're bestsellers. So no matter who you work with, make sure you get that guarantee and make sure you get screenshots. Oh my gosh, Jen, talk about the screenshots and how important those are and when you're next to another author that really like knocks their socks off.
Yeah, so we've had clients come to us in the past and they say, oh yeah, I was a bestseller. I'm pretty sure my book was a bestseller. And I say, what do you mean pretty sure? You either are a bestseller or you're not a bestseller, right? So I said, well, did your book hit number one bestseller? What categories were you in? And they were like, well, I don't really know. Like the person I published with, they didn't really like, all I know is I think I got bestseller. And then I asked them, I say, well, there's two lists on Amazon. You've got a bestseller list and you've got a new release list. So I said, were you a number one new release or were you a number one bestseller? Because there's two different lists on Amazon. Because when you have a brand new book come out, Amazon puts out a list of all the new books. That's called the new release list.
Yeah.
And anyone can go on that. You don't even have to have any sales to go on that. And then you have a bestseller list, and that is who's selling the most books at that moment. Amazon updates in real time. So it's who's selling the most books. And so if you're the one selling the most books in your category, you can hit number one. And so we've had clients come to us that say, oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. And we're saying, well, where's your proof? Where's the proof? Did you get a screenshot? And they're just like, what? No, I don't know. My publisher didn't. My publisher didn't do a screenshot. Well, then how do you know you were a bestseller? Right? And that goes for any list, whether it's an Amazon bestseller list, a Wall Street Journal list, a New York Times list. If you don't have a screenshot to prove that, or a picture or a newspaper or whatever it is to prove that you're a bestseller, then you can't hold that title, right? I mean, the gold medalists from the Olympics, they have a gold medal. That's their proof. They have the actual gold. and that's the proof, or the
And you know,
gold-plated medal.
when we give our authors these screenshots, one of our most recent books beat out Tim Ferriss. So beat out two of Tim Ferriss's books. Wasn't that Tanya's book? Whose book was that? That just beat
Tanya's. Yeah.
Tanya Carter. So she just wrote her book, and it was so cool to have that screenshot. I mean, if you don't know who Tim Ferriss is, he's an icon in the online media field. He's written The 4-Hour Work Week. He has a podcast, blog post. He's just everywhere. And she beat out not one, but both of his books. So his book was number 2 and number 3. And then it's the company that you're keeping. Like, you know, we had one of our authors that was on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list, and he was number 2 to Obama's book. I mean, how cool is that? And he beat out Matthew McConaughey. So he is in between Obama and Matthew McConaughey. Just think of what that does for your credibility when you have that, and you have a screenshot to prove it. You're not just saying it. They're like, oh yeah, he's just saying that. Really, I bet that never happened. But then he has the proof that he can show up when he's speaking or wherever, when he gives a media kit to someone, you have that proof. So it's really, really important. We think it's really important that if you're going to do it right. If you're going to go after it, go for that gold medal, go for that top title, that you get your picture on the cereal box, more or less, right? We want you to be able to do all the work and have the best marketing and have the best team behind you that's going to propel your book to be a number 1 bestseller. So just make sure you do that when you're publishing your book.
Awesome. Yeah. And we would love to have you apply to be an author with us. We have an author submission right on our website that you can fill out. And that's at eliteonlinepublishing.com. And in the top right corner, you'll see an author submission button.
Yep. So if you're thinking about being an author and writing a book, we make it simple for you. We do all the heavy lifting. So contact us, and we look forward to seeing you. Have a great day.
Yeah. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, if you want to reach out, leave a comment here. You can contact us, message us, DM us, and we'll reach back out to you.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everyone.